It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News for the 16th day of January 2020. I'm coming to you from a very breezy farm in Forest, Virginia in Bedford County, right near Lynchburg. It's pretty windy out there this morning, folks, so you might hear some yowling winds and a yowling cat. By the way, I guess I'll say this about Brett the cat. Many of you know he makes some unwanted appearances on this show on occasions. Brett the cat will be 25 years old in April, and we had him at the vet yesterday, and unfortunately he's showing early signs of kidney failure. So they've given him some medicine to keep him comfortable as possible. And when it gets to the point that he's not comfortable, then we'll unfortunately have to take a look at our other options, and they're not good. So Brett the cat's, but his days are coming soon, unfortunately. But anyway, he's liable to pop in. He's out yowling around this morning trying to con me into feeding him again, which I think he forgets that he's eating. But anyway, and of course the wind blowing like crazy, and my farmhouse is literally under some 250-year-old oak trees, and when it gets windy like this, and we could have 50-mile-an-hour gusts this morning, that just scares the crap out of me sitting here. Okay, couple things to get to before we get to the couple stories this morning. Number one, and now you might hear Brett in the background. And by the way, folks, if you think he's hungry, he's not. He has been fed literally just moments ago. But anyway, I've debated on how actually to talk about this issue. There was apparently been some criticism of me on my handling of fracking on Tuesday. Folks, I thought I was very careful with how I worded that. I do not allow political opinion or religious opinion on this space. This space is for travel and cruise industry, and the only time that I use any kind of political discussion whatsoever is how it directly affects travel and cruise industry. I thought I was very careful in the fracking mention about the earthquakes in Puerto Rico, in that there are a growing number of people calling for investigation into the fracking policies. And I didn't even say of the administration. I said the fracking policies, that it may be at least a contributing factor to the constant earthquakes that they're getting over there. And I simply said that maybe that's something that somebody needs to look at further for further investigation. I still believe that. And that has nothing to do with my feelings for or against the current administration. This space is not for political commentary. And that I will not allow. Now, you have every right. If you feel that I have said something against the administration, which actually this morning I'm going to say something because I disagree with something that they're doing, that's my opinion, and you have the right to dispute that. So anyway, that's just my feelings on that. Now, the story this morning, and I debated, I'm getting sick and tired of talking about Puerto Rico all the time. That's just been constantly in the news here for the last couple of weeks, and it seems like that's the most important thing in the travel and cruise industry space is what's going on in Puerto Rico. From a personal standpoint, This is killing my channel, even though I've had a good couple of weeks as far as new subscribers. But I would get 20 times the viewers if I have my lead story today was about the Carnival elation and the technical problems they're having, than talking about Puerto Rico and the disaster aid. But to me, this is the most important story going right now. So, day before yesterday, the administration announced that they were releasing some $8.3 billion of aid to go to Puerto Rico. Then yesterday, it was slipped out by someone in the administration, not the president, of course, but someone on his staff, that they are putting severe restrictions on how Puerto Rico can spend the aid and what they have to do to get it. Now, this is the money that was supposedly released 2 days ago, $8 billion. Okay. Now, if you're thinking, folks, that this is money for the earthquakes, it's not. This is money from 2017 and the hurricane that has been long delayed, giving it to Puerto Rico for a number of reasons. Some of them correct, some of them incorrect. So anyway, well, after Puerto Rico had a 5-point magnitude earthquake, and then yesterday a 5.2 magnitude earthquake, the House released billions of dollars, but placed limits on how it can be spent. The Trump administration imposed fierce restrictions yesterday on billions of dollars in emergency relief to Puerto Rico, including blocking spending on the island's electrical grid. I mean, that's one of the major problems, is that their electrical grid, that needs rebuilding. And suspending a $15 minimum wage for federally funded relief work. The $15 minimum wage was a policy of this administration, and now they're saying, oh, no, you people can't pay those Puerto Rico people the minimum wage. And it's a total of nearly $16 billion in funding released while Puerto Ricans still sleep on the streets for fear of aftershocks from the current toll of hurricanes. Now, earthquakes. Now, folks, we have had 3 earthquakes of 5.0 or greater in the last 30 days. Yesterday, it was a 5.2. Saturday, a 5.9, and a 6.4 earlier this month. There have been 481 earthquakes in the last 7 days. There have been 1,713 earthquakes in the past 30 days of 2.0 or greater in Puerto Rico. And we're delaying funds for their relief efforts. I'm sorry, that's not right, people. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. This is still, even though some people want to change it, a United States territory. They do not have their total independence. Some people want total independence. Some people want statehood. That's never been determined. So it's still a territory of the United States. Come on, people. This money was approved by Congress. Let's get it to them so they can get relief and get things built. Now, why am I talking about this? Because the travel and cruise industry depends on a tremendous amount of money coming out of the Caribbean, of which San Juan is a major cruise port. Just yesterday, American Airlines announced that it is starting later on this month, direct service from Charlotte to San Juan with wide-body jet service. That means that it's going to become much easier for those of you that live on the East Coast, like I do, to get to Puerto Rico for the lovely resorts that are all over the island, and to have better access to San Juan for the cruises that sail from San Juan, the ships that are based there. Right now, if you live where I live and you have to fly to San Juan to get on a cruise, you've doubled or more, doubled than the price of the cruise just by your airfare to get there. So the access that American Airlines has given us from a direct flight from Charlotte now, boy, that could change a whole lot of things and helping Puerto Rico take more tourist dollars in there to help them continue to improve the whole situation there. But it's got to be started someplace with the funding. And this, I'm honest, I got really upset with the administration over this. And folks, this is not, I'm not making a political statement against the Trump administration, against the Republicans, against the conservatives. I'm not saying any of that. Please do not take that. This is the same way I was opposed to the Trump administration with their travel ban that affected Cuba. I didn't agree with the policy on that. I didn't agree with the reasons that were given for that. And I certainly didn't agree with the damage it did to the travel and cruise industry. Every right to have that opinion when I'm in this space. And, you know, I don't consider myself an influencer in this space, but other people seem to. I certainly have opinions about travel and cruises because I like to cruise. Those of you that think that I'm this flaming left-wing liberal, you know, if I was that liberal, people, I wouldn't be a cruise promoter. I wouldn't be someone that loves to cruise because of the environmental impact cruise ships have made for years. It's awful, which we talk about regularly on this channel as well. So that's getting off my soapbox now, folks. I'm opposed to this. Goodness gracious, Mr. President, send these people the money. Don't put all these crazy restrictions on it. Let them get over there and get rebuilt from the hurricane in 2017 and all the problems with the earthquakes. All right, so what were all the restrictions? Now they can't spend money on the electrical grid. They have all kinds of problems, supposedly, that's going to curb fraud. Now, folks, there's been all kinds of political problems in Puerto Rico. Remember, the governor resigned here, what's it been 6 months ago now. We got a new governor there who, from all I can tell, has been doing a pretty decent job, much better than they thought she was going to do. She's at least pacified the people that were protesting so badly against the government there. So she's doing a pretty decent job. So let's give her some help with this whole problem. But anyway, so there's ways, there's things that they want to protect against fraud. I can understand that. Basically, they're saying that with all these disasters, that there's been political corruption because of it. Well, yeah, we admit that. But the Governor Roseo is gone. All of his administration is gone. Many of them either under indicted or in prison already. But anyway, the current estimate is that the round of earthquakes the last 30 days has caused $110 million in damage to at least 5 different municipalities. That's all down on the southwestern corner. Close to Ponce is the biggest place where all this seems to be centered. So there's 110 million in new damages that's going to go up because they keep getting these cotton picking earthquakes. I mean, 3 major ones. The 3rd major one was just yesterday, not to mention minor ones daily, to where people are still afraid to live in their houses because they're filled the house will fall on their head. I'm sorry, but we need to help folks. And it's not, again, we're not talking about money, new money. This is stuff that was long ago duly voted on by Congress as aid going back to 2017, that they still haven't gotten that money from our government. So, folks, again, and those of you, I'm going to take some heat again. You know, I got some heat over the fracking. I know I'm going to get heat over this. I welcome anybody from our government, from the United States government, that knows more than I do. And I'm the first one to admit that I'm no smart guy. I'm just calling things the way I see them. If you can offer some explanation as to why, I would welcome you to come on this space, and we'll sit down and we'll do a Chillie chat and talk about why you're not sending the money over there and the reasons why. I would love it. Come on. I'll make the space available to really discuss it, and we'll have any of our folks that follow this can listen in. So enough with Puerto Rico for today. I was going to show pictures. Well, there's a bunch of pictures, the same stuff that's been going on now for, weeks. All the folks that are out of their houses living in tents. There was a school that collapsed. And of course, the power grid. Not supposed to spend money on the power grid. I don't understand that, folks. I really don't. Okay, enough for that. Stop for, let me catch my breath and get off my soapbox. I promise I won't complain anymore about things. Yes, I will, but not about that. Again, come on, people. Anybody from the Trump administration on down that knows something about this and wants to come on this space, come on. I welcome it. Commercial break. Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scootaround. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scootaround for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise. Okay, a couple sips of coffee. Let my blood pressure get back to normal. All right, let's see. Before we go on to our other couple stories, I got a whole bunch of comments. I'm sure somebody give me help. So go ahead, brother. Okay, I got some people actually that are agreeing with me. What do you know? All right, let's run up here. We got Bonnie. Bonnie talking about Brat the Cat. Tom Henry, welcome, Tom. Good to see you again, my friend. Gretchen's here. Oh, God. Now that's an interesting. Tom Henry asked one. That's someone in Puerto Rico, if they do fracking near the earthquakes, and he says no. Okay, well now that's good to know. The information that I was getting I could be wrong about that. And again, I was just offering an opinion that we need to look at it. If it's not being done near the earthquakes, great. I'm good with that. All right, and then someone else says it is. Mike Julian says yes, it is. Well, all right. And Tom says Puerto Rico is full of corruption. Juan is always complaining about the crooks. Yeah, there's a lot of corruption over there, Tom. There's no doubt about that. And I don't know a whole lot about the new lady governor, but it is, it seems like she's doing a pretty good job. And she came out of Roseo's administration. She was a minor kind of a minor person. She was about the fifth or sixth person down the down the, the hierarchy chain. And the governorship kind of fell in her lap, but it appears that she's doing a pretty decent job. Bonnie says Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. should get the disaster money, but FEMA is terrible here in the States. I was denied assistance. Yeah, Bonnie was denied assistance from Irma. Yeah, you get some problems with FEMA, that's for sure. Bonnie asked Tom, who is Juan? Is a friend from TWB he met in San Juan. Okay. Bonnie asked Tom who Juan is. TWB, if you don't know, is Traveling with Bruce. He is in the same space. He used to do a daily show at 5 p.m. And when I started doing this show, I didn't want to butt heads with a major influencer like he is. So I didn't go with that space that time. I started the 6 a.m. show. So I kind of did the morning and he did the afternoons, and then he's quit doing live daily and only does live once a week and special occasions. But he's huge. I mean, he's got close to 40,000 subscribers. Good dude. I love him to death. Anyway, a number of us meet on his show on Monday night and chat and do other things. Okay, so enough with Puerto Rico. Let's. I'm getting more people saying, "Go ahead, brother. You're 100% correct." A lot of people support me. I appreciate that, folks. So anyway, we do have over from the Facebook side of things, Billy Paxton is watching. Connie Stoltz is watching us. A couple of my friends from Roanoke, back from my days in school about 150 years ago, close to that when I was in Roanoke in school, because I'm old. I'm real old. Anyway, all right, couple other things to talk about this morning, and it's going to be brief since I was on a soapbox as long as I was. The Crown Princess, which of course is operated by Princess Cruising, has been suffering from technical issues and forced to alter sailings due to an ongoing issue that's impacting their maximum cruising speed. Sailings have been altered as on a current cruise, which departed Fort Lauderdale on January 6th, have been informed of itinerary changes from a letter sent out by the cruise line. One of the diesel generators was taken out of service due to a technical issue. Our technical experts have been working to repair the generator. However, they've determined that the repairs will take longer than expected. The current January 6th sailing has canceled its call on Princess Keys in the Bahamas and adjusted times on St. Thomas and Barbados on the 11th and St. Lucia on the 12th, St. Kitts on the 13th. That's according to guests on the ship, the information that they've gotten back. The generator should be repaired for sure before the February 15th departure, which means that guests who are booked on the 16th, 26th, and February 5th sailings have had some changes to the itineraries. And I'm sure these folks are getting some kind of either refunds or some kind of compensation on onboard credits. I try not to get into the direction of that. Apparently, this generator issue is not the same as a pod issue that a bazillion other cruise ships have had this past year. So, at least from what Princess is saying, it's not azapods. This is a generator. End result is the same. It's affecting the speed of the ship. Now, whether or not that's true or not, again, folks, I'm not a technical genius. I don't know a lot of the from the technical side of things. Hell, I didn't even know what an azopod was just 12 months ago. And now we've talked about that 50 times. So, all right, the other problem was technical issues. The Carnival Elation ran into technical issues which caused the ship to skip 2 of its scheduled ports and make an unplanned visit to a third. After leaving Port Canaveral on January 11th, the ship was slated to spend a day at sea before calling on Amber Cove. However, on Monday, that day would prove to be unlucky for guests, several of whom reported having noticed the ship was making unusual sounds and sailing at a reduced speed. Now, that could be a little disconcerting at sea. Soon after, they would be informed by the captain of exactly what was going on. We have been experiencing an issue which is affecting our maximum cruising speed. The team worked hard to complete the necessary work early this morning, and we felt confident that it had been resolved. As it turned out, that was wishful thinking on behalf of the captain. Unfortunately, the issue has recurred, and it is now necessary to revise the itinerary. This is according to the captain. Regrettably, they were not to call on Amber Cove as was planned. Instead, they promised to have a fun day at sea and proceed on to Grand Turk, which they were scheduled to get to on Tuesday. The note went on to say that each one of the passengers would get a $50 onboard credit so you can enjoy something on us. Carnival Elation that was reported to several news events. But then on Tuesday, the visit to Grand Turk was also canceled. Guests on the ship took to social media to complain, which is where I first heard about it. Although the captain explained that high winds were responsible for the port being skipped, many noticed that the information relayed to passengers via the screens in their staterooms contradicted that claim. How is this happening? One of the guests said. Wind got down to 18 knots and we still can't dock. Is this another engine issue that we're not being told about? Passengers were then issued a second $50 onboard credit for missing Grand Turk. Eventually, the decision was made to dock in Nassau on Wednesday. The ship was scheduled to return to Port Canaveral. It's scheduled to return today. And after disembarking the guests, they depart on another 4-night run to the Bahamas. So far, there's no word if the current issues might affect the sailing, which is later today. The Carnival Elation is currently slated to undergo a dry dock in March of this year, and the ship is currently finishing up this 5-night cruise. So the Elation is having problems, and there seems to be at least some discussion with whether or not the captain was being totally honest with his passengers on what was going on. So anyway, they got some problems now with the Elation. We don't know what the problem is and how, if it's been fixed or not fixed. We'll have to see with actually what's said later on today. So anyway, let's see. Let's go back and see what else we got in the way of comments. Bonnie feels that fracking's not a good policy. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but it certainly doesn't. My pea brain doesn't appear to be that great a policy to me. But crown problem similar to the NCL Star. Yeah, that's true. Norwegian Cruise Line Star had a similar situation. It's been about a month ago now. Bonnie says, I haven't cruised on the Crown Princess yet, just the Grand, the Golden, the Dawn, the Regal, the Royal. Bonnie's been on a number of Princess cruises, needless to say, Island and the Caribbean. She's never been on a ship with engine problems. Bonnie, neither have I. I should show that. I never can remember that I can flash these things up. I completely agree, Bonnie. And I have never, I've done 20 cruises. February 1st, when I leave here in a couple weeks, will be my 21st and 22nd cruises. I've never had a technical issue on board either. All right, Tom, what are you saying here? Tom, November 1, I'm on Star for South America. Oh, you're going to South America. I've been looking at that. Looking at South America cruises. I've never been to South America, to most of South America. I've been one spot. But that's on my bucket list, and I'm working my way down the bucket list. Quite frankly, folks, one of the main things on my bucket list is Alaska, and I am because to do solos in Alaska, solo cruise, they stick you a pretty good price. Most of the cruise lines double, for a solo. They don't have the deals that you have in other places for solo cruises. So I'm waiting for a price drop when they start needing to fill up the ships, and we'll do a last, even if I have to pay more for my airfare to Seattle or Vancouver or wherever hell I have to fly to. If I get a good bargain price, because I know going in I'm going to probably have to pay double since I'm solo. But at some point, I'm going to do Alaska, and I hope it's this year. Anyway, Bonnie said she was on Carnival Elation in the 90s. I was on Carnival Elation. Boy, it's been a long time ago. Probably, I don't remember what year Carnival Elation came out, but it's been a while. I was on it a long time ago, too. And Bonnie's booked with Tom and Cindy. I missed that. It comes up here February. Oh, the Discovery Princess, Tom and his wife, Cindy and Bonnie, is on the same cruise, the Discovery Princess, in 22. Cool. Okay, that about wraps up today. Let's see. Connie in Roanoke says she has friends that have family in Puerto Rico, and they say it gets worse every day. Yeah, I know. That's it. This whole situation down there is awful. And again, folks, I'm sorry that I went off on a rant today, but I reserve the right to do that when we're talking about travel and cruise industry, and that is always has something to do with travel and cruise industry. We've all been, those of us that cruise a lot have all been to at least to San Juan. I have never gone into Puerto Rico to one of the resorts. I've not done that. My family has. My sister and my niece have both. They went to, it's down toward Ponce, but not quite as far as Ponce. But they were there for a week and loved it. I have not done that, but boy, I tell you what, with having a direct flight from Charlotte, that's gonna, and I have no idea what the prices are gonna be on that direct flight yet, but that's gonna open up the eastern part of this country, making it a lot easier for us to get to San Juan for cruises and for resorts. So, all right, guys, that is going to wrap us up today. Again, my changes in plans for next week. I will be here on Tuesday as normal at 6 a.m. Wednesday, I leave and drive to Kentucky to help my son drink all the bourbon in the state of Kentucky and see my grandkids. Thursday morning, I will do my show from Louisville. Saturday morning, I don't know. I might still be in Louisville. I might be back here. I'll be on the air one way or the other. So that's next week. And then I've got that gives me, I think, about 4 or 5 days to get ready for the cruises. I'm doing 2 cruises back to back, leaving here on February the 1st. It is my intention to attempt to do our live broadcasts from on board both ships. And since I've not done that before, I don't know how it's going to work technically, but we're going to try. So hopefully we will continue on through the cruises. So anyway, that wraps us up for today, folks. This is Chillie, the Fat Travel Guy. Glad you were with me. I'll see everybody again on, what's today? Today's Thursday. What am I talking about? I'll see everybody again on Saturday. That's when I'll see you guys again. So that's it for today. You guys be good to each other and smile a lot.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.